the second derivative. Okay, double prime is negative. And now, much better. Okay, we're going to do the last two sentences. So we're going to look at the points of inflection. So if I remember my fun chart, there's two columns up there still. Points of inflection are when you have a 0 on the second derivative, okay, and a max or a min on the first derivative. So notice that first you have to find the point of inflection. That's an x and a y coordinate, okay, because, okay, double prime changes signs. That's how you know it's a point of inflection. The second derivative changes signs. The rate of change is, all right, this number has to come from f prime. It's the rate. This is f prime. Okay, I'm going to show you how to get the number with the actual example. Okay. This is a maximum rate. Okay, look at the first column up there. If you have a maximum on the first derivative, right, it's a high point. So it's a maximum because f double prime positive to negative. That's 2 tick marks. There you go. 2 tick marks. Okay. A point of inflection. All right, because f double prime changes signs, the rate of change is some number that comes from the first derivative, okay, and it's a minimum rate. So if I look at that last column up there, see how the first row says a point of inflection, the second row has a minimum, and the third row is negative to positive. So if you have a minimum rate, it's because double prime goes negative to positive. All right, so we have the general part of our sentences filled out. You're supposed to find the x's and the y's. You've got the reasons. You have to find the coordinates that go with it. And that's what I'm going to do. All right, so I'm going to show you how to find these points of inflection, and then work your way into filling out all of those blanks. Okay, so I'll give you a minute to open up the example project, okay? All right, just so you have that to look at. Okay, so open up the demo. Okay, so you have the graph. I've got the data. The first thing I did here is I typed in the equation. Notice the regression here. I typed it in. Now I used f of x. It doesn't really matter. You can leave it in y equals. But notice you want these two things to be in the same location. Notice that I rounded my numbers. I don't care how you round as long as it's a good picture. Okay, so I'm going to unhighlight the black graph, and I'm looking at the purple one. I'm like, good, that looks like a good trend on the data. Okay, so now I have the first derivative. So I'm going to go ahead and add a note just so that first derivative. Okay, so notice I multiplied, subtract the power, multiply power. Okay, so I'm going to do the second derivative. So I multiplied. Okay, I've got the second derivative. All right, so I'm going to unclick, and then I'm going to highlight the second derivative, and I'm going to look at it, and I'm going to click it. All right, so that I can find the 0 on the second derivative. All right, I'm starting at the bottom because the second derivative is about concavity in the second derivative. So that's where I'm going to start. Just going to label it. Okay, second derivative. Okay, now the 0 is here. That's where the 0 is. So I'm just going to redraw my number line. So the second derivative number line, 4.862. It's positive and negative. That means that the original graph is going concave up to concave down. All right, so we've got a point of inflection. Okay, now what I'm going to do, okay, so notice 4.862 is where the point of inflection is. All right, x equals 4.862. All right, that's the x coordinate that has the point of inflection. I need to figure out where this point is on the graph, on the original graph. See those red dots? I want to know where that point of inflection is on the original equation. Right there. Right there. So if you click on two graphs, it automatically will show you the intersection. Yeah. Oh, because I unclicked it. So if you click it, it just takes it off the graph because I didn't want to look at everything. Is it supposed to be 1.5? Oh, thank you. Okay. So does that, what does this one make it? 3 point what? 3.18, is that it? Is that, someone want to check my math? Okay, I'm good. All right, so we'll zoom back out a little bit. Okay, so it makes it 3.33. Fair enough. Let's readjust. 3.33. Okay. Fix that. Thank you for 3.33. So then my coordinate, x equals 3.33. Notice on the purple graph, that's the point of inflection, right? It looks good. It looks right. It should. Okay, everything should correspond. Right here is where the point of inflection is. All right, so let's make sure we've got the point. Okay, so I'm going to write the point here. 3.33, comma, okay, 2.07.2, okay, 207.2. All right, there's the point. Okay, now I'm going to click on it. If you click and hold, it allows you to, I just wanted to make it bigger so you can see it. Okay, there's the point. Okay, let's make this bigger. All right, there's my point of inflection. Notice how it's a point on the actual graph. Okay, notice how that corresponds to the 0 on the second derivative. Okay, what is the rate? Now, looking at this point, the rate is what's the slope. That's what it means. What's the slope at that particular spot? Well, I can tell it's positive because I'm looking at it. But if I want to know what the slope is for sure, okay, I'm going to unclick the green graph because I don't need the second derivative now. I'm going to click on the first derivative graph, right? That's the one that tells me about the slope. Okay, notice if I click, oh look at the x coordinate, look at the y coordinate. The slope is 17.367 because it comes from the first. Now look at it. Is that a maximum that you can see right here? It's a maximum because it's a maximum on the derivative graph. You're looking at a high point. Okay, so how can you tell? Look at that. Look at my green, look my derivative, it all matches. I don't have any tissues. Yeah, you can go get some though if you want. Yeah. Okay, here we go. It all corresponds. So let's see if I can write my sentence. All right. It's a maximum. So there's a point of inflection here at 3.3, 207.2, okay? Because double prime changes signs. Changes signs. Okay, I got my first sentence. The rate of change is a maximum, okay? It's 17 point, whoop, forgot my number, 17.36, okay? 36, okay? And it's a maximum rate. It's a maximum rate. Because, look at this, double prime, positive to negative. So that's how I can use all three graphs to help fill out those last two sentences. Now, the only thing I didn't write in here was units. Okay, that's the only thing I didn't put in right now. So 3.3 is approximately 2003, right? Because I'm looking at my labels. Okay, 207.2 is median prices in thousands, so that would be $1,000. Okay, 17.36 would be $1,000 per year. Okay, what does that mean? In 2003, the prices were increasing $17,000 per year. So at that particular, in 2003, the prices were increasing $17.3 thousand per year. So let's say at the beginning of 2003, if it cost 200, by the end of 2003, it would have gone up $17,000. Okay, that's how you can, right? So we did the sentence, and here I just wrote down the units by looking at what was on my graph. When you get to part 3, which I have to go run the copies of it, sorry. So I'll put it up here for you. Okay, here's part 3. Part 3 is actually the part you're gonna turn in online. Okay, notice it says Google Doc or slides or something, right? Electronic copy of all of your work, right? The things that I'm coming around to check on your computer. You should be gathering them in one place. So Google Doc or slide, I don't care how you do it, I just need it in one place, okay? Organized, easy to read. And then part 3 is actually where you're going to like write words about the data that you just found, okay? Describe at least one point of inflection, right? With the units, okay? What it actually is and what happened, okay? So for this particular example, median house prices, I would look at 2003 and I'd be like, okay, why did it go up so much at that point? Was there a reason for it? Okay, maybe if I was looking at the decline, the housing market crashed in 2008, right? So there'd be like a reason for there to be a giant decline. Something about whatever you researched, right? Give me some information about it that corresponds with that greatest rate. If you don't have a point of inflection, there is something that you need to say. Just raise your hand and I will help guide you in that direction. All right? Based on the trends in the data, increasing, decreasing, up, down, rates, whatever you see in your data, what did you learn from it? What can you predict from it? Okay? So there was population of animals. Okay, they're decreasing, and then they leveled out. If you put restrictions on endangered species, they stop becoming endangered, right? Something you can learn from that. Okay, so that's what that second bullet means. And then the last sentence, it's not quite worded correctly, which is why you don't have a copy of it yet. Make a conclusion about how the data could influence decisions or changes that should or could be made in your field of study. That's a pretty good sentence. Okay, there you go. The last part is 40 points. Each one of those bullets should have a couple sentences to go with it. They're worth 10 points, so make them good sentences. Okay? It's not a page-long essay. Maximum 3 paragraphs, but a couple sentences each. Okay? Do not write me a novel. I don't want a novel. Maybe a half a page. Maybe. Depends on how big your writing is. Okay?